Good Sunday morning. Thanks a lot for tuning into the Weather Channel. It's top of the hour on this 7th day of January 1996. I'm Rick Griffin along with Vivian Brown this hour. First stop, current weather. Then Vivian will be back with a forecast and a look ahead. But current weather is certainly a headline this morning, particularly for those of you in the east. And we're talking all the way from the deep south up to about New York City. You know, in New York City, a blizzard warning has been posted for later today and tonight. Same story in Philadelphia and Washington, D.C. Heavy snowfall, strong gusty winds. Some of you had heavy snow already, particularly around Baltimore, D.C. and southward towards Roanoke. The storm is just beginning to take shape. The winds will pick up with additional heavy snowfall as the day progresses. So our main weather headline is the massive winter storm here in the eastern third of the nation. Now it's clear through the middle of the country and the southwest, while we have some moisture in the northwest with some rain, freezing rain and mountain snow in Washington and Oregon as a warm front comes onshore from the Pacific Ocean. A little fog in the Central Valley of California, also here in Kansas and Nebraska. And then we have temperatures under clear skies down to the mid to upper 20s below zero over North Dakota and northern sections of Minnesota, thanks to Arctic high pressure and radiational cooling. High pressure also dominates much of New York State and New England right now, but things will change dramatically over the next 12 to 24 hours as this low begins to take shape. Actually, the energy shifts to a new low developing along the coast. The low pressure center then rapidly intensifies, comes up off Chesapeake Bay, and by, say, midday on Monday, will be located somewhere just south of Cape Cod. So, you know, yesterday we were sort of talking about, well, if the storm track shifts a little farther north, watch out New York City and Boston. Well, that apparently appears to be the case this morning, as we are expecting heavy snows in New York, in Hartford, in Providence, in Boston eventually. Heavy snows have already fallen overnight around our nation's capital to about Roanoke, including the Shenandoah Valley, the Greenbrier Valley in West Virginia. Over in eastern Kentucky and southern Ohio, heavy snows have come down in the mountains of western North Carolina into East Tennessee. Snow is advancing across the deep south this morning. In fact, right outside the Weather Channel here, we have sleet and snow, enough to accumulate on the cars and grassy surfaces so far. And the entire Atlanta metro area may see up to an inch of accumulation before the snow tapers off later. Heaviest snows have been to the north, again up here in North Carolina, up to a foot or more, around Boone and Banner Elk, Avery County into western Virginia, southeast West Virginia, and east central Kentucky. Anywhere you see the white shading, 1 foot or more of accumulation has occurred already, and there is more snow on the way today and tonight. About a half a foot in D.C. You could be looking at a foot and a half total accumulation before the storm ends. And of course, very little snowfall as yet around New York, Trenton, Atlantic City, and Philadelphia. But snow is expanding rapidly in your direction as we speak. Good way to look at that is the eastern radar. And boy, oh boy, it's extensive precipitation, as you can see. The snow looks like it's already starting in New York, but initially the snowflakes are evaporating before they reach the surface. But you can bet in a big hurry the atmosphere will moisten up a bit, and we think by midday a heavy snow will be falling in the Big Apple. Now, it's mostly snow through this region, but you get down into North Carolina, South Carolina, north sections of Georgia, we have sleet, freezing rain, and or a rain, snow, sleet, freezing rain mix. So the highways in these southern states are going to be kind of messy. Not to mention the fact that highways are snow-covered and a bit slick around Philadelphia. It's snowing this morning in Salisbury. Also snow and sleet, heavy snow and sleet, as a matter of fact, in the Tidewater of Virginia at Hampton Roads and Norfolk Newport News. Snowing D.C. and Baltimore, snowing in Richmond, snowing in Roanoke, also in Buena Vista, Lynchburg, and Charlottesville, Virginia. However, just south of the Virginia-North Carolina line, it's a wintry mix around Raleigh-Durham, Winston-Salem, and Charlotte. Also Greensboro, North Carolina. It's in the 20s here. We have freezing rain and sleet. It's a big mess. Western mountains of North Carolina, snow and sleet. Snow and sleet in East Tennessee. And snow and sleet is advancing across the Atlanta metro area while it's raining in East Central and South Georgia, and rain showers and thunder showers in Florida. Just briefly back to the nation's midsection in comparison to the east today, from Minneapolis to Kansas City to Dallas and Oklahoma City, the weather looks rather quiet. Let's check that out in the forecast. Here's Vivian.
Okay, a quick look now as we recap the snowfall forecast. Locally, 3 feet of snow are possible in the mountains here, say the Shenandoah Mountains and even the central Appalachians over West Virginia, the western parts of North Carolina and Virginia. We've already had as much as a foot of snow in the western mountains of North Carolina, or the western mountains of Virginia here, so an additional 2 feet are possible. So very, very heavy snow is expected. Some of the big cities like the nation's capital, Baltimore, we can find as much as, well, as much snow as we've ever seen. We might be dealing with snowfall records, even up to Philadelphia with this particular storm. We'll notice some energy kind of transferring to another area of low pressure off the coast of Virginia and North Carolina, so quite a bit of moisture will be feeding back into the system. The air is already cold enough. You talk about the extremely cold air in place, so we're setting the stage again for some very, very heavy snows for the mountains here, the Appalachians, and eventually, as Rick mentioned, some of the snow may start to push into the New York City area and even Boston, as we do have winter weather advisories in effect for the area, as you can see the moisture kind of streaming a little farther north overnight tonight and tomorrow morning. Now, as the area of low pressure moves away, we'll still have to be dealing with those stiff north winds on the backside of it over the deep south, so it will be fairly blustery tomorrow, and even nearly blizzard conditions expected for many areas, including our nation's capital up to Philadelphia, because of the very gusty winds and the heavy snows. On contrast, we have another system over the Pacific Northwest. This is a fairly warm system, as we've had record heat yesterday in Seattle, a record high of about 53 degrees, and we're forecasting 50s again today. Rain perhaps again too along the coast of Washington and Oregon, with snow in the extreme higher elevations and maybe even some freezing rain over the eastern parts of the Cascades later today. But all eyes will be focused on our eastern storm, again as it moves from the southeast northeastward right along the coast, bringing with it locally heavy snows. Afternoon highs today only in the 30s, and keep in mind those winds will make it feel even colder, blowing the snow at times for the mid-Atlantic. Morning lows teens and 20s, so very cold over the eastern half of the country, and it's going to be fairly cold on Monday, but notice as we work toward the
on this Sunday, and snowy and slushy travel all the way from Atlanta, Georgia, where the rain has changed to snow, and there is accumulation on the highways this morning, not to mention rapidly dropping temperatures, so it's going to be an icy mess in the Atlanta metro area today. As we head farther north, the snows get heavier, and as the wind picks up, we do expect blizzard conditions to develop around the nation's capital up towards Philadelphia later today. And you folks around New York and Boston, get set. Snow's on your doorstep as well, and New York City arriving pretty soon. And overnight and early Monday in Boston, near blizzard conditions could develop with some rough traveling for rush hour on Monday morning in southern New England. So here's your snowy travel, not only in the east parts of the Northwest too, the Cascades eastward, rainy travel west of the Cascades, and in the southeast over the Sunshine State of Florida. I-75 will be wet, chance of thunderstorms, and lots of wind in the east today too. Stay with us.
Presented